Where'd you watch the game, Kevin?
In New York City.
How were
Listen,
you to watch the game with?
well, first off, I was all alone in my apartment. My wife went out to dinner with a friend, and there was that first call, the first bad, I what I consider a bad call, on the first offensive play, and I think some of the neighbors were thinking about calling the cops.
Do you think that your wife went out on purpose to leave you alone to watch the game?
I think maybe, yeah, I think maybe she did. But as you know, I moved to, and she was there for the second half. She's kind of a jack in the box when it comes to watching anything. She's up and down and up and down and up and down. And the one thing that she sort of relies on when I'm watching any kind of sports is that she gets a foot massage. So that's kind of like you know, that's how we work it out. That's how we've stayed married for so long. I will say that, I moved to New York when I was 17, so I've been a New Yorker for a long time, and I think we've probably talked about this before. I have this kind of strange relationship to New York and Philadelphia sports, where you're really supposed to be on one side or the other. But I'm a big Knicks fan as well as an Eagles fan. But the uh, I found that the New Yorkers that I've run into recently, and this I'm talking about, like, many people have said this to me, knowing that I was a fan of the Eagles, that they feel they're very happy for Saquon, which I think is like kind of an interesting, thing that they feel like, well, it's great, he's doing a great job done. I don't know if you would find that if the reverse.
I can't imagine. But are you the prototypical Eagles fan? Like, if you weren't famous being an actor, would you be out there celebrating, taking down light poles and
No,
everything?
I would not. No, I would not. I'm way too into self-preservation.
But this Friday, I wouldn't go close to Philadelphia with that parade going on.
I told my sisters that they needed to stay. I've got two sisters there, and I said, "Go inside and stay inside. It's going to be great. It's going to be great." I feel I'm always very happy when not just for the Eagles or for any sports teams, just if anything great happens to that city that I care about, and that's a good thing for a city. So I'm really happy for him.
I feel like Bradley Cooper feels like he's really close to getting in uniform and playing for the Eagles.
Yep. I think he's the definition. He's a definition of a fan. Good on him. I don't know that there's a who else do you have? Kevin Hart, I guess, and I'm trying to think of well-known Philly people in
Maybe you
that
could
way.
do a buddies like Eagle fan movie. You and Bradley and Kevin Hart.
Well, yeah, maybe. I mean, he did do Silver Linings Playbook, which was very much in that pocket. But it was a fun day, and I'm happy for them.
Did you cry?
No, I didn't. I didn't. Well, did I get? I might have gotten a little misty. Yeah, I might have gotten a little misty. Listen, it's one of those games where you always have to remember that a friend of mine sent me a picture of his friend, and they're both like big Giants fans, and they were watching the game, and his friend Mark had fallen asleep on the couch. His head was back like this, and he was completely out. And for people that aren't Eagles fans, it was not the most exciting, thing to watch, or it was, just kind of whatever. But for it's all your point of view. I thought it was a blast.
Okay, but if I go back to when Foles and the Eagles beat Brady, that's different.
That was different. I mean, and plus, I mean, that was such a crazy, unusual situation. I mean, that whole, that was completely just never seen that before. I thought that was incredible, and then how ironic to have Nick Foles there. Uh, I mean, I I would say that, what's really I feel like there's something about Hertz that people didn't quite acknowledge. There was a lot of talk about, or a lot of feeling, I think, that the team was only really it was having the kind of year that it was having because of Barkley, and for sure that is true. But it was really interesting to me to see, the uh, the them shut the defense shut Barkley down to a certain extent, and then all of a sudden you go, wait a second, this is not a team that's just has this great running back. This guy he's amazing, and I gotta say, I'm not a predictor. People always say that to you, but after that game against the Commanders, I I felt pretty good about it. I thought they really looked good, and I thought he looked really good.
Yeah, I think with Jalen Hurts, if you go back to when he was at Alabama and then got kicked to the curb in the national title game, transfers to Oklahoma, then he gets drafted in the second round, and he's a backup. I mean, it feels like he's going to be a career backup. You had Carson Wentz. He was having
Right.
an MVP-like season. And then all of a sudden, it's like, maybe Brock Purdy with the 49ers, Mr. Irrelevant. Like, he can't be that great. He was Mr. Irrelevant. And I think that people kind of harbored this opinion with Jalen Hurts. Well, he can't be that good. I mean, Alabama didn't want him. He went to Oklahoma. He's a second round pick, but
Mm.
he keeps proving people wrong. And if I look at his performances in these two Super Bowls, you'd be hard pressed to find a performance like that from other quarterbacks who have been in at least two Super Bowls. And you lost the one where he fumbled the ball, but he outperformed Mahomes in that game too.
My wife came in at one point when he was running and sliding, and she said, "Why is he sliding?" I said, because he's such a smart quarterback, because he so knows, how to, you know, protect his body. It's just you get sees the big picture. Anyway,
But he's like a supporting actor who becomes the leading actor. Like
yeah,
begrudgingly, you're like, wow, he's a leading actor because he's been that supporting actor.
right. And it's also interesting because when that happens in our business, you'll see that, and the first thing everybody says is, I always liked him.
But like J.K. Simmons in Whiplash, people
JK.
didn't. They were like, "Oh wow, that guy's the leading." Yes, and then he ends up winning the Academy Award.